Thank you very much, and thank you very much, everyone, for attending this very important session today on the opportunities and challenges of urban development in Nigeria. We have a terrific panel, and knowing well as I do urban challenges internationally, I know they also bring opportunities. They bring opportunities from a business perspective, from an infrastructure perspective, from a social infrastructure perspective. And I think we've got a wonderful mix of the highest level officials from Nigeria, together with advisors who have a strong track record of business success and advisory success in Nigeria and other African countries. The way this panel will work, the same as the previous panel, each of the presenters will present for about 10 minutes, and then we will have a question and answer session until I'm told that we can no longer occupy the stage, which will be about 20 to 1 or quarter to 1. We're going to try and take the full hour. So I'm delighted to introduce our first speaker, who is Senator Mohammed, who is the Minister for the Federal Capital Territory in Nigeria. Distinguished Senator Mohammed is a true politician in the best sense of the word. He was sworn in as FCT Minister on Wednesday, April 7th, 2010. He is the 15th Minister of FCT, and he is a man of very strong convictions. He's known as a dynamic leader with a gift of eloquence and remarkable political will. And as Minister, he's a man of both action and principle. He believes in excellent service delivery. He also believes that elected officials are not judged just by their words, but they're judged by their actions. And his goal is to ensure that by the time he concludes his tenure as the FCT Minister, the nation's capital will have improved several notches higher in its evolution as a megacity and world-class capital that all Nigerians will be proud of, which is an admirable goal and one I certainly understand as a former mayor. Senator, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. David Miller, for the wonderful introduction. I'm going to be business-like. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my paper for our presentation is on opportunities and challenges of urban development in Nigeria. And I have an outline and a presentation which is going to guide my speech today. The vision, the mission, the Nigerian experience, the Federal Capital Territory, and going down to the other issues related to urbanization. I'll start with the global index which shows that in the 1960s and 70s, the growth of urban poor was mainly attributed to migration from rural areas to the cities. And all over, we have 50% of the population that are resident in urban cities. And the world population is growing at 1.5%, and it will grow in that rate in the next 50 years. And by the year 2025, more than 2/3 of the population will be in the urban areas. In the Nigerian context, urbanization started close to our independent time in the 1950s and 60s, and by 1975, the population in the urban areas has risen to 23.4%. The Human Development Report showed that 49.9% of the population resides in urban cities in Nigeria, even going by our 2002 census. The urban population growth rate is 4.8%. The national annual growth is 2.2%. At the end of the day, by 2004, it is estimated 2015, more than 50% of the population will be resident in the urban areas. Coming back to the Federal Capital Territory, we are really hugely affected by these demographics. The increasing rate of influx into the city occasioned by the following factors: urbanization at the ratio of 9.1%, population increase at the rate of because of birth rates, migration from the state to FCT in search of greener pasture and opportunities, migration as a result of security, because there is a lot of security infrastructure provided to ensure safety and security of persons and property in the Federal Capital Territory, and the influx of foreigners as a result of direct foreign investments, the construction size, and the development that is unfolding because of the opening of new frontiers in the city. The population has grown beyond our planning or beyond our plans for infrastructure and services, which is 1 million population by this year. We already have 5 million in the city. Remember that we have 170 million population in the country, with a regional population of over 500 million people. So our infrastructure overstretched 500%, and of course, looking at other issues that has to do with development, urbanization, as follows. Development of maintenance of first-class city are encumbered because the primary infrastructure overstretched. We have to look at the satellite towns where we are going to make sure that we provide similar infrastructure so that we can ease the tension in the city and make life more pleasant and lively in the urban, in the rural areas. Because of that challenges, we are opening up a new area in phase 4 of the city. I had earlier on explained that the city is done in phases. We are going to phase 4 to develop new districts, leveraging on private sector, where we can provide more housing, commercial, recreational centers, so that we can support work and live and play, and then facilitate the provision of affordable housing so that we can reduce the housing deficit. Of course, the other issue that has to do with this is the issue of regulation and enforcement of our master plan, which is the best in the country, and we had to make sure that we go by it, even though we have a lot of encroachment and other issues that has to do with discipline. Reviewing the policy and plans for continued adherence to development control standards, because we have people coming from every part of the country, and because of ignorance and sometimes just nonchalance, they just build anyhow, and we have a lot of encroachment. Sometimes shanties coming up, that's what they can afford by their microeconomics. We also have the challenges of having an effective and efficient resettlement and compensation policy. The territory is over 8,000 square kilometers, and then, of course, we have some people that are there before the creation of the Federal Capital Territory, and the government had not been able to provide alternative accommodation for them, so that by the time we are providing primary infrastructure at par with our own master plan, they would have been moved. We need about 200 billion naira to do that, and that's why, as I said earlier, we are opening up new areas to provide housing and other facilities in the phase 4 with the development of 15 districts. We have also issues of provision of equitable water, eco-friendly management system, and of course, management of solid waste. Provision of environmental sanitation and other things are also in the increase because of the demographics. There is also an overstretched facilities in the areas of education and health, because accessibility is becoming an issue. Similarly, when you look at the institutional framework, because of the demographics and the increase and the influx in the city, we have legal and constitutional issues. The status of Abuja, it is just like a state, and the Constitution gives it that status, but certainly we are not like a state where we have our assembly. The assembly is that of the National Assembly, and we cannot come with the bylaws that we can quickly do some enforcement and regulations. So we have legal and constitutional issues. What do? We have to look inward to make sure we provide a sound institutional framework by coming out with legislation. And this government is doing so much to make sure we provide time allotted by the National Assembly to discuss issues of urbanization, challenges, regulations, and enforcement. I have come up with a summary of our KPIs, key performance indicators, for you to see how we have used problems as solutions in Abuja. Because sometimes the demographics can give you a leeway to attract investment, create wealth, as well as make the population grow in tandem with the facilities in terms of infrastructure and services. You can see the reduction in the airtime. We have opened the city. I had made a presentation yesterday. For all its corridors coming into the city, we want to open up and create roads that will make sure we reduce the travel time from the city to anywhere you are going. We have planned to reduce it by 50 minutes, by 50 minutes, and we have achieved 30 minutes. All along, you can see there is a reduction in the rate of accident because of the expansion we are doing, and then also percentage of crime statistics. We thought we would reduce it by 2002, and we have achieved 2033. Emergency response time, we have really increased it. Average time for evacuation of waste in the city, we planned 8 hours to evacuate because of the volume of litter in the city due to the demographics. Many people are coming and they are nonchalant. They can not easily be controlled in terms of their behavioral pattern. Average travel time per kilometer, we have also reduced it. Cost of commuting, we have not achieved the 20 naira per kilometer that we thought, but we have achieved 25 kilometers because we have provided mass transit and other transportation facilities. We seek to make sure that we use the demographics to create a multimodal transportation system where we have the monorail, we have the light rail, we have the mass transit, so that together we'll be able to ease and make a comfortable living in the city. Indicator 19 growth in the area of education, you can see the ratio from early child education to tertiary level, the percentage, plan target, and what we have achieved. We have done very well, and these are some of the problems and challenges, but when you come to the ratio of student-teacher ratio, classroom student ratio, you can see it's on the high side because in the classroom we have up to 45 people because we have people coming from the contiguous states because of the quality of our infrastructure and because Abuja is for everybody in Nigeria, and even those that are coming from abroad, we cannot discriminate. So we are really overstretched in terms of our provision of classrooms, provision of teachers, and so on and so forth. Indicator Number 25, you can see how we have been able to augment passes in examination from 91.6% to 94%. Population access to water. Again, we have a lot of problem because of the population and because of the expanse of the city to produce water and reticulate it to all the parts and nooks and corners of the city, include the satellite town, because everything is based on a robust master plan. We have been able to really do so much about it. Even in terms of retrieval of our artifacts, we have done so much. That is having an institution, an administrative framework that will be able to administer the city. We have done so well to make sure there are reforms in the form of making sure that we reduce corruption, turnaround time, as you can see in the subsequent presentation, as I'm saying, what we would do to make sure development control approvals, land registration, time that will be taken for one to get approval, to get land, and of course start development has been reduced. That can only be ensured through reform, and then of course having a sound administrative framework for the territory. Mortality rate has been reduced. Access to health care has been enhanced. Mortality rate also, as I said, has been reduced. Turnaround time in granting approval, I have mentioned all this. Turnaround time for response to emergency from 5 minutes to 7 minutes. Building approval, we have done about 1,489. Hitherto, it will take 2 years or 3 years before somebody's building approvals are given. It will frustrate the investor, even Nigerians trying to build the city. And we have people that are keeping the land in their briefcases because the land registration is said that there was a lot of discretion, arbitrariness, and subjectivity on the part of the administration, where you only give to those whom you know and or who are close to you, rather than making sure that you provide a level playing field for people to access land, get approval, and develop. Because once you bring personal interest into all this thing, it will encumber the development of the city. I understand I have less time to make this presentation, but that's why I summarize it in form of KPIs so that you can follow how the challenges of build urbanization is also an opportunity for us, because we see that we can create wealth by the population that we have. In the area of agriculture, you can see the hectareage, the yield that we have increased. crop production, and we are trying to make sure that we create employment in the area of agriculture, which is a huge opportunity because the city is growing and the food to put on the table is the major issue. And so, of course, we made sure we brought to bear in the city the issue of modern agriculture with a robust facilitation by the FCT Agricultural Department. Fish production, livestock production, they have all been enhanced to make sure that we create wells and also provide employment for our teeming population. Implementation challenges. There is an ever-increasing cost of resettlement and compensation, which is becoming unwieldy. As we are expanding, so are the problems and challenges of resettlement and compensation. As I said, we have 200 billion naira cost for resettlement and compensation, which, because of the contending needs of the government, we will not be able to do. So we are leveraging on the private sector through the land swap program, whereby we use land as a resource, and all the costs of development of the infrastructure, primary infrastructure in the districts were also computed along the cost of resettlement and compensation. In that case, you don't have problems lingering that have community relation implication. And so it is creating a very pleasant situation where the Aboriginal or original settlers of Abuja are very happy, and it is reducing the tension that had hitherto characterized the way and manner they perceive development, where they are being removed as if they are encumbrances or impediments. Implementation challenges also. The demographic has shown that Abuja has an emerging city has to address the infrastructural deficit in the areas of transportation infrastructure, medical infrastructure, educational infrastructure. But all these are also huge opportunities for investors to come, because our microeconomics, our GDP can really support your investment so that you can recoup your investment. Government alone cannot continue to provide hospitals and schools. And that is why you see so many people all over the world are coming to Abuja to leverage on the perceived problem of demographics to make sure that they make investment. We have 5 universities now on the growing, and we have secondary schools. We have not really restricted areas where investors will come. As the Minister of Mining said, a foreigner and a Nigerian have equal status as far as investment is concerned. And because we have created a one-stop shop where we make sure that Nigerians and foreigners come together in partnership in a spirit of equality, in a spirit of honesty and sincerity, in tandem with the ICRC, that is Infrastructure, Construction and Regulatory Agency, to make some investment so that we can reduce the infrastructural gaps and provide a good facility for our teeming population who are yearning for it. And because government alone cannot be able to provide, they will be able to do. I call on you to come to Abuja and see the problems and challenges of Abuja as an opportunity so that you can make your investment, and we are establishing a sound and robust arrangement to make sure we protect your investment. Thank you for listening.